Hello and welcome back to the Common Colt Podcast. I'm Josh Hudgens, joined by Dan Hertzler. The Common Colt Podcast is a real Colts podcast with authentic takes, no clickbait. Dan, how you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing really good. I'm excited, and I think Colt Nation should be excited too. We finally got a good candidate for a head coach. I am super excited about this one. Josh, why don't you tell us what's going on?
Well, Albert Breer said that the Colts are finally setting up a second interview with Brian Callahan, possibly as early as Wednesday. He's going to be flying to Indianapolis, which to me is a big deal because, first of all, this is a guy who I wanted. He's at the top of my list as candidates. And one thing, and as I was looking more into this report, Brian Callahan has a interview set up with the Cardinals for Thursday. So to me, we got to stop waiting around. It's time to make the hire, get the deal done, get the guy, don't let him leave Indianapolis without a contract kind of thing, and let's just be done. What do you think?
Yeah, this is exactly what we kind of talked about as far as what the Colts should go for. An offensive mind that's worked with some young quarterbacks, that has a little bit of a track record. It's not going to be a great track record. You're not going to sit there and say, wow, this is amazing. But these are the kind of guys you got to jump on, and you got to jump on them early. Spent time with the Broncos when Peyton Manning was there with the Lions, with Stafford, with Carr. And then recently he's been the offense coordinator for the Bengals, developing Joe Burrow. And I like this. He's the son of a former head coach. And that's kind of you've seen that. Kyle Shanahan out in San Francisco the same way. His dad, Bill, was an offensive kind of guru with the Raiders. Took them actually to the Super Bowl, played against Gruden's Buccaneers, and that's when he got Rich Gannon going. So I think this guy has it in his genes. I think he's got some potential. I love what the Bengals have done with Joe Burrow. They've looked really good this postseason.
Yeah, when I think about Callahan, obviously, like you said, he doesn't have this huge track record of major success as a head coach or even as an offensive coordinator, but when you're the Colts, I think he's the best possible candidate. He's got the traits of, he's developed a young quarterback in Burrow. He's worked with Peyton Manning. He's worked with Jim Caldwell. So as the Colts, you have the connections. You could speak with Manning, you could speak with Caldwell, and you could kind of know how this guy works and how he acts day to day.
Yep.
It's not like a fresh guy you know nothing about. He's a young, innovative guy. You mentioned Kyle Shanahan. You think of Mike McDaniels over there in Miami, somebody like that. I look at some of these game plans he put together. I know the Bengals lost to the Chiefs, but even the game against the Bills where the Bengals offense looked just awesome.
Yeah.
I just think this would be a home run hire for the Colts because at the end of the day, in my opinion, an offensive-minded head coach is ideal when you're trying to get a young quarterback who's joining your team.
Yeah, 100%. If you watched any of the games, the Bengals, not only did they have a great game plan against the Bills, but they were down some of their key offensive linemen. So they had to adjust and come up with a different style, a different way, and they just kept rolling too. Now, again, don't get me wrong. A lot of it is because Burrow is just a good quarterback. So you have to have a good quarterback, but you also need the coach too.
Yeah.
And I really think this guy is the guy. He is on the top of my list. I think the Colts, whether it's Irsay's daughter that's in the interviews, we're hearing that kind of stuff going on now. Whoever's making this decision, make the decision. Let's get the deal done and let's move forward.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I read some people saying online, like, "Oh, it's Joe Burrow is kind of the reason for this guy's success," and to a certain extent, if you're a successful offensive coordinator, you probably have a great quarterback. Like a chicken and egg thing, kind of like Belichick and Brady does, I mean, these guys work together hand in hand probably. Yep. But in my eyes, I think Joe Burrow isn't Peyton Manning. He's still a great quarterback, but Joe Burrow's not calling all the plays. Joe Burrow's not setting up the offense like Peyton did in Indianapolis. And in my eyes, when you look at a guy like Brian Callahan, who's helped develop a Joe Burrow and just now knowing in his head what it takes to, hey, what's a young, successful quarterback going to have to learn, and what are some of his trials and tribulations? This stuff is all fresh in his mind. And so when you think about drafting a guy like a Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, he now knows what that takes because he literally just has lived this. And
Yeah.
I think that is just so big. The only thing I'd be curious of is kind of who he would take with him. Who would his offensive assistant be? Who would he get to help him on the defensive side of the ball? I know the Colts defense kind of has talent. Frank Reich, obviously, when he was the Colts coach, he called the plays, and he just pretty much let the defense, the defense do their own thing. So I would imagine that's kind of the style that we would expect out of Brian Callahan is something similar to that.
Yeah, yeah, and you bring up a good point with coaches too. It's one of the things that I think is most important with a coach is knowing who you've got and working with who you've got. You don't try to make a Jalen Hurts try to be a stand back there statue, kind of Peyton Manning quarterback. You move guys around, you work them based upon what you have, and I think Callahan is a guy that can do that. He's been around enough, he's seen things, so. You know what? Again, I know no one's asking our opinion on the decision makers, but if they send me a message, if they call me up, I'm saying just make it happen, man. Just make it happen. This is a guy that you take a chance on, and he has everything. I think what we need. Let's get this done.
Yeah. At the end of the day, if we don't take the chance, somebody else is going to. I mean, that's just how it is. The Cardinals. Somebody else is going to take that chance, and I think we're going to kick ourselves when if we let this one slip through. Don't let them leave Indianapolis, Mr. Ursay. Please listen to the Common Colt Podcast. We won't steer you wrong, guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and hey, share. And don't share that though. And until next time, have a great day.